Welcome to week 3 of our groundbreaking show. Blair Kirchhoff, Vahe Gregorian, and Sam Mellinger on my right. We're still looking for a name. I know that's getting a little tedious, but if you're waiting to be a title sponsor, hang on. We'll have something for you soon. Today we're going to try to take a little step into the realm of fantasy, sort of with a little nod to all the fuss over 50 Shades of Grey, Sam's favorite movie. We thought about a few things along these lines. Blair, last week, was in the middle of a reenactment of what would have happened with Alex Gordon if he had gone to try to score in Game 7. I was at an NCAA mock bracket. Sam, this week already is writing about what's going to happen with the Royals Home Run Derby this year. So let's cut to some of that, Blair, especially I think the most interesting thing of all, what would have happened with Alex. And also, hats off to the Rockhurst guys for showing us once and for all what it would have been.
Absolutely. That was it was great on their part to help us out with this little experiment. And Monty Davis, who's behind the camera here, was the one, kind of the magician that put this whole thing together. We had a great time doing it. And again, as we try to express on the video, we didn't conclude anything except I think we maybe provided a better idea of what might have happened. We ran the play 6 times. In the first one, the timing was way off. But on the other 5, we thought we simulated the timing about right, from when Brandon Crawford got the ball in short left and when Alex Gordon hit the bag and what would have happened. And in each of those instances, out by a mile.
The picture that's always going to stick with me is from the very last one with the view from the helmet cam of the guy rounding third with the catcher just waiting there, like tapping his feet. And I know you've had that belief for a long time.
Just out by 1,000 feet. The next day, I couldn't believe that people thought that he should have gone. It always, and I was so glad. I know you say it didn't prove anything, but to me, it proved everything. And I've always thought that if Mike Jerschley, who nobody knows, but if he sent Alex Gordon there, it's worse than Bill Buckner. It's the most embarrassing ending to a major championship since what? I've thought this, I've said this 100 times. I think Buster Posey could have missed the ball, chased it back to the backstop, picked it up, and still been at home plate before Alex Gordon. He would have been out by 1,000 feet, and this whole offseason people would have been making fun of the Royals, justifiably so.
Well, it would have been. It would have been exactly that, right? And it would have been same old Royals even after they got to Game 7 of the World Series.
Yes, and people would have, wow, I missed the days when we lost 310 games in 3 seasons.
So you're saying that would have been the Chris Webber timeout moment?
Yes,
it would have been.
But worse, yes.
But you're right, though, because that's at the very ending. I mean, yeah. Buckner was that the very ending?
Oh.
No. I mean, it was.
That wasn't even Game 7.
Very rarely is it the very last play.
Yeah.
So, along those lines, the thought would have been, oh, Sal Perez would have homered because he'd already hit one up Bumgarner.
Yeah, people would have been making up all kinds of nonsense.
But to that point, so what's going to happen with this quest to break 36 and Balbone's incredible enduring record?
I think somebody will break 36 if you combine 2015 and 2016. I think somebody can get there. But somebody asked that on Twitter the other day about who will lead the Royals in home runs. And it's not the sexiest race out there, but I looked up on Baseball Prospectus's projections, and not all projections are just guesses, but I think they had 5 guys. I think the number was between 14 and 18 home runs, and it was Sal Perez, Alex Gordon, Mike Moustakas, Eric Hosmer, and Kendrys Morales. And any one of those 5 guys has a great chance, like a 1 out of 5 chance probably of doing it. But I think that Eric Hosmer has at least the best chance of putting up a big number. And I don't know if I'm putting too much stock into what happened in October, but I thought something kind of unlocked in him a little bit. And you saw, his big-time talent kind of taking over. And I really think that if his body's right and his mind's right, the hand injury really hurt him last year. He was killing it when that happened. But if he can stay healthy and focused through 162, I think he could have a really big-time breakout year.
And do we think they're incrementally better or substantially better if they just hit 30 more home runs this year?
Absolutely,
I mean, is
yeah.
that
they're
chance to win a
to
division if they do that?
Yeah, they're going to have to, because the rotation I don't think can be as good as it was last year. You're losing Shields, and that's a hard thing for Yordano Ventura, for instance, to live up to do exactly what he did last year. Danny Duffy the same way. So they've got to make up for some things in some other areas. And the bullpen actually, crazy as it sounds, could be a little bit better with Luke Hochevar. It gives them more depth and everything. But yeah, the offense they've got some room to improve for
Well,
sure.
if all those guys that you mentioned hit their career highs or match their career highs, I think they can get to 125 or 130 home runs. I think it'll make a big difference for them this year.
Well, it should be a great divisional race, and as we think about races right now with Kansas seemingly still on its way to an 11th straight Big 12 title, despite a loss last night at West Virginia. A couple things. One is how that fit into our mock bracket we did last week. We came up with Kansas as the number 7 seed overall at this little shindig we had in Indianapolis with the NCAA, and I think that kind of holds true. Our projection had Kansas fictionally winning the Big 12 tournament, which still wasn't enough to put Kansas quite into the argument for a number 1 seed. And I think still accounted for a couple more losses for Kansas along the way. I think that's about what this team is. Any thoughts by you guys otherwise, or what do you see coming now for the Jayhawks?
I do think it'll be difficult for them to get a number 1 seed. They've got 5 losses now. They still have to play at Oklahoma, at Kansas State, at Oklahoma. I think it'll be tough for them to get on the 1 line. I think the key for Kansas in the postseason, as it is for every team, is to stay away from Kentucky for as long as possible. You know, last night's loss was understandable, acceptable. They lost to a ranked team on the road. Had a 5-point lead with 2.5 minutes to play, and West Virginia hit a couple of big threes, and then Kansas had bad possessions toward the end, but had a chance at the very end to win this game, and it's. I don't know if it was more difficult to miss that shot or to make that shot that Perry Ellis had at the end.
That was, I think you can replay that shot over and over. I mean, he probably did rush it.
Yeah, it was one of those, like, if you can put yourself in his position, it's obviously like an unpracticed, totally ad-lib. I don't know what the chances are that Jamari Traylor puts the pass like right on the money like that. Just
flings it.
Oh my God!
It's a discus throw.
Yeah, and you can imagine, right? Like in Perry's mind, like he just gets rushed. His heart rate's up. It's an unpracticed play. Oh my God! I'm right there.
Is
to
it
me, it looked like at the
1.4
last
or
second.
0.6 as I'm going up?
And he's not right at the basket either.
Right.
You know, he has. In fact, I thought he should have hit it off the square. I thought he should have hit the square with it instead of trying to lay it in the hoop.
And I think that's why he missed it, right? Because it's like when he goes up there and he's right there, I think he sort of didn't know whether to just lay it in right over the rim or like you said, off the square.
He was in between, right? Could he have dunked? I mean.
I think he had time for a dribble. I think he could have caught it, taken a dribble, and gotten another step closer to the basket, and then it would have been a layup.
If he'd known how much time he had.
And exactly where he was, too. I don't think he knew exactly where he was on that play.
Yeah.
Well, we're about out of time, but thanks for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week. I hope you can be back with us.